Bada, 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 bam. Good morning and welcome back. It's Monday morning, Monday the 13th of April. Celtic are only thinking about one thing and one thing only this week, and it's the Scottish Cup. Yes, Celtic are still in the Scottish Cup, and Celtic could win the Scottish Cup. Celtic could still get a double this season. We are still in the title fight. Doesn't matter what the other scores were at the weekend, Celtic had to win the game. They didn't win it as convincingly as we thought they might have, but when we look at it, it was a win that keeps us in and about. But it's a result that keeps us in and around the table, and as you can see, we are in third position in the league table after the weekend's results. What does it do to the thinking of the fans? I mean, I still think that goal difference will not come into it, even though we are way behind on goals. It's one of the most unusual situations that we find ourselves in as Celtic fans. One being third in the league, other teams will love it, and fans of other clubs around the country will absolutely love it. We're not entitled to win every league by 20, 30 points, 10, 15 points. We need to make sure that the team are blocking out the noise from outside. And let's face it, if Celtic win all their games 1-0, there's a chance we could win the league. We will need someone to take some points off of Hearts. Hopefully next week at Hibernian away to, not next week, sorry, because it's the Scottish Cup. Oh, that's right. Rangers and Hearts aren't in the Scottish Cup, are they? And let's face it, if you're going to win any cup, the Scottish Cup is the premier trophy cup-wise in Scotland to win, and it finishes off your summer and leaves you in good stead, high spirits if you win the Scottish Cup. We all know that if you lose the Scottish Cup, you'd kind of go into the summer a bit pissed off. But anyway, I think that Celtic will get the Scottish Cup over the line. No, I've said it. But anyway, that is enough of the league table. When we look at the fixtures that are remaining within the league, jeez, this camera's a bit close this morning. See every fucking Jesus. When we look at the league table, we've looked at the league table. When we look at the remaining fixtures, can Celtic win the remaining 5 fixtures in the league? That's the big question. And will we get a little help from anybody? Some of us thought we might have got it from Motherwell yesterday. Stephen Welsh there was a penalty given against Stephen Welsh, which was an absolutely ridiculous penalty according to all reports, and it should never have been a penalty. But it doesn't really matter because Celtic play the Scottish Cup next week. When it comes back after that, we play Falkirk, who got absolutely demolished yesterday. I just checked the scoreline this morning. I didn't check the scoreline yesterday. Well, I checked it and it went to 4-3. And I thought, well, that's it. They've won it. I got a text saying it was 4-3 and then 5, and I didn't even check the score. So I found out this morning that they had scored 6. It does leave Celtic with a bit of a mountain to climb goal-wise, and especially when we don't have strikers that are scoring goals. Anyway, how much will we be able to take off Falkirk at Celtic Park? That's the big thing. And then we play Hibernian once we go into May. We are only one game in the league until we get into the part of the season normally where Celtic are quite in a comfortable position. We do have a fight on our hands this year. We need to win every single game. Will winning each game, I can honestly see a situation now where even if we do win every game 1-0, we might still be in a position where we may not win the league. We will need someone to take points off of Hearts. It's as simple as that. I think Rangers will take points off of Hearts. That may help us, but are we convinced with the goal scoring prowess of other teams? There's no denying it at all that when you do look at the league table and the goals, the goals that the other teams are scoring that we aren't. I mean, we now find ourselves on a goal difference of 24, Rangers 35, and Hearts 30. Don't know there, and as much as I hate saying this, there is one team that's going on a trajectory to say that they're going to finish the season really strong, and that's what I'm kind of getting at. Celtic, the warning signs have been here since last season. Completely here since last season. When you look at the fact that Celtic stumbled over the line last year, a lot of people are saying, forget goal difference. It'll only be points if we win it. Only be points if we win it. We need someone else to take points off of Hearts. That's the thing. I mean, even if we win all our games, we don't win the league. We're behind points on goal difference. And that's been my big worry point. You know, if Hearts beat Rangers and we beat Hearts last day of the season, they win the league on goal difference. And if it does happen like that, fair play to Hearts. And it's what do you know what to say? Baz, we have to stream on. We have to stream roll opposition. The horseshoe doesn't work. We know that horseshoe doesn't work. It's the same. You have to ask yourself, if that's the case, then is Sean Maloney and Fozzie being at the club in any capacity next year worth it? And will we have? It's difficult when we don't have the wide players that you would normally have. Dice Maida's having a poor season. Yang's not the answer. As much as people love Yang, it's we need to get strikers that are putting in goals. And this is the big issue that Celtic have had all year. The fact that we don't have any strikers. Good morning from Vietnam. Celtic need to change a gear to win this league. And Scott says the Hearts and Rangers games are pivotal for us. I don't see both of them dropping points now. Well, Rangers and Hearts play each other. One of them has to drop points in that game, Scott. And sorry, but with the way that it might not be convincing to watch, but the goal lines from the weekend suggest that that they've got the fight for it. Celtic may have the fight for it, and the one thing that Celtic may have is the defence might be really up for it, and the defensive unit, the way that they were defended in Europe this year, may come into play. But being convinced that we're going to score 4 or 5 goals a game, it's just not going to happen. Can't get a decent striker while being in champs and in Europe. How are we going to build our team from third? That's I don't think that if we do finish third, it will be a remarkable summer, and it will be one of the busiest summers regarding Celtic. Would it be a good thing? And would that be? And here's one way to look at it: would finishing third in the league be the breaking point for some people within the organisation? Would it be the point where, and I'm talking about board members here, would that be the point where people would have to take responsibility for their failings, and if not removed by Dermot Desmond, surely? I mean, if we can get rid of Paul Tisdale for the fact that he's the one that advised Celtic, and it was on Paul Tisdale that he was the fall guy for bringing in Wilfred Nancy. Well, surely the boards have to take responsibility for bringing in Paul Tisdale and Wilfred Nancy, and the way that the transfer negotiations have taken place, and we've not got our first targets, and we've ended up having to just take the players that we've got. Would that be enough of a tipping point to make people to resign? Because let's face it, if you're not successful, do we keep if a manager's not successful, he loses his job. If the board are not successful, are they allowed to remain in position? Do you know, if we do finish third, it could be the catalyst for the biggest change at Celtic that we've seen in decades. As much as I do not want to win the league, would you accept that that may be the tipping point for a bigger action against the board, for instance? It's going to be an interesting clip of this. Hearts Rangers play each other at Tynecastle, Baz. A draw there. If it is a draw and then Celtic were to keep on winning, that puts us a couple of points. Well, it puts us. We would then need to beat Hearts on the last day of the season, really, wouldn't we? Anyway, there's loads of football to be played, as they say. No, there's not. There's 5 games. And it is squeaky bum time. Look, other teams will be convinced that they're going to win the league also. You know, Hearts are saying that Hearts are convinced. Like, we scored 3 at the weekend. Rangers, they're on fire. They've now scored 66 goals for the season. Celtic have scored 59, and Hearts have scored 58 goals for the season. It generally works out that the team that scores the most goals over the season tends to win the league, and that's not looking good. It means that we need to beat that lot at Celtic Park. We need to beat everyone. It's as simple as that. When is Osman back? He's a goal scorer for us. Putting a lot of pressure on. Like, we put a lot of pressure on Johnny Kenny, and he's just a young lad. And when he wasn't scoring the goals, we put pressure on him saying he's not good enough. I don't want Callum Osmond to have to be the forefront of the pressure going into the running in the end of this season, because I want Callum Osmond to really come back after the summer, really motivated to grab a first team place, you know, to get some first team football, not to be the number one striker. I do not want Callum Osmond to start this season the way that Johnny Kenny had to start the season, as number one striker. He's not number one striker material. He's a young lad that needs to learn his trade, that needs to be backup striker, that needs to get 10, 15 minutes. You know, we've been through this before this season. I don't want that to happen on Callum Osmond. I think Callum Osmond can go on to be a fantastic striker for Celtic, but let's not put the pressure on him that we put on Johnny Kenny's shoulders. And I think that ultimately, do you know, if someone like Kelechi Iheanacho, with his experience in Europe, in the English Premiership, if he can't score goals, why are we expecting a young 21-year-old to come in and be the saviour of the season? I think that's a bit unfair on young Osmond. He will think that he can come in and make a difference for the club, but I don't want the backlash on the young lad if he doesn't do it. Do you get what I'm saying? Because I think that may have an adverse effect on the longevity of him as a Celtic player. I don't want people coming in and starting next season. That's fucking Osmond. He was shite last season. He was fucking shite towards the end of the season. He missed sitters. Come on, don't put that on the young guy. You know, we need to nurture him and make sure that he wants to progress at Celtic, and that he grows into the type of striker that can go on and score 15, 20 goals a season for us. You know, I just don't want that kind of pressure put on him just now, and for him to feel that pressure. You never know. He might be the young type of player that excels at that type of pressure. But then if he does, Celtic then sell him the next season for 15 million. That's the issue that we have at Celtic. You know, we need a manager to come in and say, no, you're not bloody selling our best players. Do you know what's wrong with Celtic? It's not the fact that we've got a shit team just now. It's the fact that we sell Celtic as a stepping stone. The board have done it for you, and there's a common denominator here. We all agree on this. There's one common denominator, and it's the board, right? but it's also the managers. We're selling Celtic as a stepping stone to the Premiership, as a stepping stone to something better, as a stepping stone to bigger wages or whatever. You're only coming in. We did it with Nico Kuhn. Nico Kuhn admitted it when he left Celtic. He said, look, when I came into Celtic, they told me it would be a year and a half, 2 year thing, and I'd get sold on. If we're actively telling players that they're only going to be here for a short time, a good time, and not a long time, what do we expect? We need a manager to come in, and we need a manager that's going to say, right, I'm going to be for, give him a 4 or 5 year contract if we get the right person. And we need to give him time to build something. And that's been the big issue. And we need a manager that's got a set of buzz the size of fucking Parkhead that's going to say no to the board. That's going to say, no, I don't want these shit players. I want the number one choice. You get that deal done. Never mind this pissing about and fannying about and excuses. Oh, he didn't want to come. The wages were. Get the deal done. Other teams are able to go out and find players that fit a system for the manager that we can sometimes make better, that can come in and play their hearts out. We don't be able to, we're not able to do that. And when we do it, and when we do find that player, we've got one objective, and it's to make 5, 10, 15 million pounds off the back of them. That's what needs to change. There has to be a whole complete. And if Dermot Desmond thinks that the system is working, that the business model is working, yeah, you look at a spreadsheet, mate. I agree with you. Yeah, it's working. We're making money. It's not the game's then, and the game's a bogey at Celtic if that's the case. We're going into next season, and don't wish for anything. Don't know, because we've got people in charge that don't need it. They would need to buzz on the EPL wages and bonuses. Miracle. Well, Rangers couldn't beat us twice at Ibrox. Hearts got a late draw at Tynecastle. Hardly a miracle. And I've never said that we need a miracle. I said that we need one other team to beat Hearts. That's all. I still think Celtic can do it. I think that we're due a win over both at Celtic Park. But the table doesn't lie. Even if we beat Rangers, we're still, if Hearts keep on winning until the end of the season, we're 3 points behind. The league table doesn't lie, mate. It's laid bare for us all to see. There is a possibility that Hearts could beat Rangers. Hearts could keep on winning away to the end of the season, and if that does happen, and we get to the point at the end of the season where we need to, even if we do beat Hearts on the last day of the season, and it's like we've won all our games, if no one else takes points off Hearts, they still win the league. There's no way are we overturning a 6-goal deficit in the last 5 games. Yes, Saturday was the day that would have given us the perfect opportunity. Get the goal difference up. But we didn't. And other teams did. And that is the big issue with the Premiership. Right. Now, in Scotland, anyway, Tony Ralston's been talking about the fact that Celtic have the metal. We're going to be in dire straits with conference money. Slippery slope incoming. Oof. At the end of the day, if we win 1-0 every game, I will I will take that all day long. If we finish third, that gives the ammo we need for change within the board, win the league, and the board have got out of jail. I still think we still need someone to take in. Can never rebuild a team with Nicholson still here. This is very true. We're not playing horseshoe anymore. Had discipline and gave some protection. Employed by Rodgers. The front line firepower. We're playing surrender possession now. Yeah, we are that. Watched the Zombies yesterday. They're shit, but they're also they're scoring. I'd accept third if it means giving Hearts the points to stop them, says Kame Sutra. Joseph Davidson says, guys, hate to say it, but we are not doing this. That team is shocking. How bad have we been? And we're still only 3 points behind. Yeah, exactly. And this is the point that this is the good part from a Celtic fan's perspective. But we do need someone to take points off our Hearts. It's as simple as that. You know, it's no longer in our hands. Even if we do win all our remaining 5 games. If nobody else takes points off Hearts, they still win the league. Simple. Goal difference. Same goal difference that I've been talking about since December. Yeah, back in December I was talking about this. It's all ifs and buts. It is, well, it's not ifs and buts. Say Celtic do win all their games. If, well, it's a case of if, isn't it? We'll just wait and see. Anyway, to the dressing room, because there's one player that's done it, seen it, watched it all before. As the semi-final looms this weekend, the pressure cooker of the last remaining 5 games, can Celtic go on? Can Celtic win the 5 games remaining in the league? Could be the fact that Celtic have 7 more games to play before the end of the season. Well, we've got the one coming up in the Cup this weekend. That's not going to be an easy game. The win that we got over St Mirren at the weekend, you've got to say, St Mirren weathered the storm. Due to the misfiring fortunes of Celtic Football Club, Celtic let St Mirren away with it in the first half. We should have been going in at half-time 2 or 3-0 up. St Mirren came out the second half and they played the better football. They're going to go to Hampden full of... do you know what's really frightening? Is that St Mirren could win a double this year. I've said it. Remember it happened with St Johnstone. That's a sobering thought on a Monday morning. It is a sobering thought on a Monday morning. That St Mirren could be on for a double. That would be something else, wouldn't it? Oh man, really. But anyway, one person that thinks that we can do it is Tony Ralston. He says, I'm not in the walls of other squads or other teams that are involved, but within our walls, within our changing room, and for training for match days, I know that we have a strong mentality. We have a great captain, says Tony Ralston, and Callum McGregor, who has an elite mentality. He has shown that over the years. Well, that's a comment and a half from Tony Ralston, isn't it? To say that Callum McGregor has the elite mentality. When a lot of Celtic fans say, well, all he does is stand and go pointy, 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 pointy. Had to do that. He leads us, says Tony Ralston. We have boys who are behind him, and we're all moving towards the same goal as a collective. Tony, maybe no use the word collective when we're talking about, because it's quite divisive. Tony Ralston then went on and says it's just about honesty. It shows in games like St Mirren. It was a hard win. We had to grind out the result. Listen, I'll take 1-0 wins to the end of the season. But like I said, Tony Ralston also said that we have Oxlade-Chamberlain, who is very experienced in terms of his own career. So we have a very experienced group, and we need to use that as much as we can. We've seen that at the end of the game at the weekend, where Callum McGregor got the players not so much into a huddle but into a circle to really keep them motivated and saying, look, that was a hard win. Obviously, we're not privy to what was said by Callum McGregor after the match. I don't think that we ever will be. But the fact that Tony Ralston's coming out and saying that, look, Callum McGregor's an elite-minded player. We need to help the other boys who have not been in this scenario before. We need to help them along. to get to the finish line. Celtic have obviously lost far too many points this season, and I've said it before, we've got a team full of loan players that are not long-term lovers of Celtic, not really have a long-term vested interest. They're just here to make up playing time, get some game time. And that's the downfall. And that's what Tony Ralston's talking about. You know, he's talking about the players that are here on loan, that have never been in this situation before, that don't know what it's like, the mentality that is needed to keep on going. They're coming from teams where it's, you know, if it's 1-0 wins, okay. It's okay to miss half a dozen chances, 20, 30 chances. It's okay to drop points. It's not okay to drop points at Celtic, and we've seen that over the season. So let's just see that Kalmak is carrying an injury, says George, not according to the manager, he's not. He had a bit of a knock during the week, and he had a bit of a tightening during the week, but according to the manager, he's not carrying an injury. He was taken off just because he was just feeling a little bit tired. Bless him. And Martin O'Neill says that he wasn't protecting him for next week, but we've got a lot of games. That he kind of contradicted himself, Martin O'Neill, didn't he? Because he says we've got a lot of games coming up and we need a fully fit Callum. And then he said, well, he had a little bit of a niggle, but he's not injured. Make your mind up, Martin. Unless there's change throughout the full club, it'll be the same story, different season. Dermot Desmond will just bring in more of his own cronies. And breathe. So we're either way. Maeda hasn't scored in 17 games. He was down at Birmingham yesterday watching his mates. I mean, I'm all for player. Maeda's thinking about this. Maeda spat the dummy out in the summer. We know this. I don't know what we're expecting. I'm being honest. You know, players like Rio Hatate and Daiz Maeda, they've shown this season that if they're not putting effort in, they're like, fuck it, fuck Celtic, fuck it. Is it too early in the morning to say fuck it? Yeah, Jesus. Osmond is third choice striker and has a bright future at the club. Agree with us. Don't put pressure on the lad. Yeah, that's my thinking of him, Scott. Don't know. It's great to have someone like him coming back, but you know, we don't want to put that pressure on. Stephen Sloan says we're playing one game a week. We have all week to practice stuff at training, yet our performances are still dire. Who's to blame? The manager, the coaches, or the players? I'd say it's a collective, like Tony Ralston says. The attitude and the enthusiasm in training is all up there. They're all, yes, let's do this. Martin O'Neill said it. Martin O'Neill said that in the dressing room, the boys were all fired up. They were all going to play fast attacking football, one touch pass. He'd be like, yes, they're all fired up for it. They did it for 15 minutes. They scored the goal, and then they went, oh, fucking Jesus, woof, we're ahead. Let's not get too fucking ahead of ourselves here. Let's just like defend for our lives. That's the big issue at Celtic. Welsh, is that shite? He's costing points being let out. Well, going by some of the media that I've read this morning, it should not have been a penalty that Hearts got. There's been ex-referees that have called out the decision. But anyway, sorry as well. Benji is also shot. Benji's another player that I don't want him sold in the summer, but Celtic have a history of selling their top goal scorers. Simple as that. I don't think Benji will be sold in the summer. I think that he will hopefully still. I think he will be here next season. The players are cack up front, so no pressure is ever taken off the team. If we had some players, but Jota, Kyogo, Kuhn, the league would have been won by now. How shit we've been 3 points behind. I think it's a big wake-up call to the The board, Julie. I voted Benji as player of the year because the choices were so bad. The guy is hopeless without the ball at his feet. Jesus wept, says Hoopsaholic. I think the fact that I think Benji Negrin will be player of the year. If not, I don't really know who'll be player of the year. I don't know. I don't know who the players would vote for. I don't know who the fans would vote for, really. It's there's not been any standout. At the beginning of the season, a long time ago, we were saying that Liam Scales could be player of the year. God, that feels like such a long time ago. It shows you how indifferent the season has been, because at the sort of the first quarter of the season, just over a quarter of the season, a lot of us were saying if you finish the season this now, it would probably be Liam Scales. It would be player of the year. We have no midfield. We've got Callum McGregor and Oxlade Chamberlain. I think that the fact that they play the holding two, when you look at Rio Hatate, isn't playing the type of football that Rio Hatate is an enigma. He has one good game and people think that he's amazing. He has one good pass in a game that maybe creates a goal and everybody says that he's the best things in sliced cheese. You've got Benji Negrin. Without Benji, his 19 goals this season would be way behind. And there lies the issue within Celtic Football Club this year, is that goals haven't been spread about. You know, you've not got another midfielder. I mean, the last time that we had a midfielder that scored a lot of goals, he was sold for 25 million. It's just a little word of warning, you know, and I hope that that doesn't happen this year. When you look at the lack of goals from strikers, I don't think that we've had a season where we've had so many misfiring strikers. I would still like to have seen, and I know people will say, well, Adam Ida's not scoring goals down south. It's a completely different kettle of fish. You know, Adam Ida scored 29 goals at his year and a half at Celtic. You know, half a year on loan and then a full season, 29 goals. We've not replaced that. And there's when you take away someone. I mean, I know that Kelechi Iheanacho does all the badge slapping stuff and all the rest of it, and friggin' nonsense. And Tam the Czech's just a journeyman that's here to get some game time. I've never seen such a bad front line for Celtic for. God, I couldn't even tell you. I couldn't tell you. And Yang's not the answer. Do you know? When you look at the team that started at the weekend, we need a change with everything. Love Carmack, but he has to go, says Paul. What if it's the Huns that beat Hearts? So if the Huns beat Hearts, it puts them in front and doesn't really change anything, but we still need to win our games. A lot of people saying good morning and hoping Magnus is okay. Are you still in the hospital, mate, or is that you out? Just going to run through the comments. Definitely, mate. Yeah, definitely catch up next month. The board with DD can't get one decent transfer window right. Never mind a new director of football, a new manager, and at least 5 good players. We are going to need more than 5 good players. We're in for a rebuild. We're in for a rebuild that I would say was bigger than the rebuild that Ange Postecoglou had to do. And I warned against this, and this was my argument for bringing in Wilfred Nancy on a permanent basis, or not just Wilfred Nancy, but bringing in a permanent manager then and getting the decision right. It's the fault of Celtic Football Club for getting the decision completely wrong. The argument for keeping Martin O'Neill the full season is still negligent when it comes to the turnaround that we're going to have this summer. We got it wrong with the managerial position, so we had to bring back Martin O'Neill. If we had kept Martin O'Neill to the end of the season, we may have won the league. The board would then be fucking slapping themselves on the back saying we made a great decision. We'd then be going into the summer having to do a rebuild. we're having to do a rebuild anyway. We got it completely wrong, and the people that got it wrong were the people upstairs. So if we do lose the league and we do finish third, I think that should be enough to call for the heads of Michael Nicholson. And I'd even say Chris Mackay, because he's the finance guy. He's the guy that must be the taking part in negotiations for contracts with players. If it's all just down to Nicholson and Nicholson alone, he has to be the fall guy. But then who comes in? It's like you say. But we need a lot more than 5 players this summer. It's all on Hibs to take something from the derby in 2 weeks' time. No other teams in the top 6 has anything to play for. Well, they do. Hearts and Rangers have got something to play for. I mean, they're playing for the title, so that will be the big one. Hearts will beat Rangers. Hearts beat Rangers. Well, if they do, they're put themselves in a fantastic position. If they do beat Rangers, I expect nothing, and everything is a bonus. It's not in our hands. St Johnson, lol, only bright spot of the season. Expect nothing and be surprised if we do it. I think that's the way that we. No, I would expect us to go to the Scottish Cup final and win the Scottish Cup. When it comes to the league, if we just take one game at a time, and it would just sum up the season if Lennon beat us in the cup final with Dunfermline. Oh, don't. Calma, good enough to be in Gaelic football. Just win. The only thing, we ain't getting goals with this team. No, we're not. All seen was Tony Ralston running back the way, consistent wanting to pass back the ball to Sinisalo. He was flapping every time he got the ball, said Celtic faithful 1888. Mikey Boy says that he's elite minded. I don't know if you can hear that chopper. That's the Guardia Civil doing their morning run up and down the coast looking for drug boots. 1-1, 1-0, 1-0, 3-1, 1-0. That means we lose the league then. If that's us. Do you think that Dermot Desmond actually watched this Celtic team? He should be ashamed if he thinks that this is acceptable. If he thinks it's acceptable. It's not just Dermot Desmond, I think that the people on the board, think back to where at the beginning of the year, strangely enough, when Peter Lawwell left the club and Brian Wilson came in as, we've still not replaced Peter Lawwell. How has it taken so long? This tells you everything that's wrong with the organisation. How has it taken so long to replace a chairman of the football club? There has to be something going on in the background that there's going to be big change in the summer. If there's not, the club's getting run worse than what it was under the White and Kellys. The Kellys and Whites, whatever way you want to say it. Brian Wilson was brought in as temporary chairman, and the first thing that Brian Wilson said to us was, look, we know that we did things wrong in the summer. Let us rectify that in this transfer window. No, they didn't. We've learned from our mistakes. This is all quotes from Celtic. We have learned from our mistakes. Let us rectify them. Well, you didn't rectify them, did you? You brought in mediocre players that the manager doesn't fancy. If you brought in the players that Martin O'Neill really wanted, surely Martin O'Neill would have them in the squad. You don't have to be a football pundit. You don't have to be a director of football. Fans can see that the obvious is staring us in the eyes. You know, the obvious is sitting there in front of us. If Martin O'Neill really picked these players to come to Celtic, they would be on the bench. If Martin O'Neill picked these players, and if he's given the final decision, yeah, if that's what I'm getting, that's what I'm getting. We need some honesty from Martin O'Neill at the end of this season. Were they your choice players? Did you pick the players, or was there other players that you wanted at the club? We're not going to get this nonsense because Martin O'Neill will get sign this, Martin, and there's a big chunk of cash and away retire. The same as what Brendan Rodgers had to do. That's the way that Dermot Desmond works. You know, it doesn't go through the books. There's a big chunk of cash from me to you to me, boom, boom, boom. The old days it would have been an envelope stacked full big chunky notes. These days he just gets on his phone and goes, I've got your bank details, Martin. Here, boom. I've just put a nice wee tidy in your bank account. Shh, don't say anything about what's been going on this season. Getting run by a dictator. Getting run by a dictator. Carmack's been poor since he returned from injury. My biggest concern is that Rangers are shite, Hearts are shite, Celtic are shite. On the level, so the board don't need to spend. But Rangers did spend last season. That's the thing. All at Celtic are to blame. Yes, they are that. Couldn't lay everything on a plate for him. It was never a penalty. Talking about the Welsh one. From last season, we are 38 goals off and 64 shots down. Just shows we need a striker of real quality. It's not just a striker, mate. You need the balls coming into the box for the striker to get. You need. When you look at Kyogo Furiashi in his last months at Celtic, Kyogo Furiashi was missing about 10 chances. Well, that's maybe a bit. About 3 or 4 chances every game. Goal scoring opportunities that seasons before you're thinking Kyogo 1-on-1, Kyogo bump in the back of the net. Kyogo was missing those. So what was causing that? You've then got the wingers that are inadequate to put in good. I think that a lot of people will say that this is maybe wrong, but I think the person that is put in the most, who's actually got the most assists this year? And then that will tell you. So if we figure out who's got the most assists, maybe that person's going to be player of the year because they're the one that's getting the ball into the box. Kieran Tierney has to be up there. Player of the year doesn't exist this year. Referees are corrupt, helping the Huns and Hearts. Yes, it's the other way. Sorry, we don't want to play Sriracha. I think he's better than KT. It's all about opinions. The manager is making the decisions. Can you just imagine if Martin had the same team as Ange? How good would Celtic be, especially in Europe, if Martin can do decent with a thin squad? Imagine with the team Ange had. The issue with that is we wouldn't have had the same players because it was Ange Postecoglou knew Kyogo Furiashi. He knew Rio Hitati. He knew Dies Maida. This is a manager that is picking his own players. He knew Aaron Moy. Aaron Moy would never have came to Celtic if it wasn't for Ange Postecoglou. You know, and that's the difference of where we are. We've went from giving the manager everything he wants. I'm going to reiterate what Brendan Rodgers said at the beginning of the season. It's not a manager that Celtic want. It's a caretaker. And I don't like quoting Brendan Rodgers, but it looks like Brendan Rodgers was right. Martin O'Neill's a caretaker. Come in, do what you're told, take the players that you're told to take, and as simple as that. If that's the case, and that's the situation at Celtic Football Club, we're we need to boycott season tickets or something. We need some kind of protest that gets big change, and we need to get behind the Willie hockey thing. That'll be one bit of good news that comes out this Friday. Yes, that is one thing that we'll all be looking out for. So it's going to be an interesting day on fucking typical Friday. I've got airport run to pick up my father. Oh, father, why are you getting drunk this weekend? Tell me about it. Perth Luxury has come in with his. For those who are interested, the latest odds to win the Premiership: Huns are $1.20, and Celtic are 2. Hearts are 15. Do we bet with our head or heart? I wonder. And Danny Cash is coming with super chat. Also, we could put Tierney as right back. He's done that for Scotland, and get Sriracha on the left. But Kieran Tierney's better crossing with his left peg. If you put him on the right, he's then got to stop. He's then got to turn in to then cross the ball. If you look at the crosses that have resulted in goals from Kieran Tierney assists, he's better at it than Sriracha. That's the only thing that I can say. 93, 94, 94, 95 as far as strikers are concerned. Yes. And we all know what happened in those years, mate. Martin O'Neill not playing Sriracha is criminal. Interesting. I'm getting sick of seeing surplus of Kieran Tierney. Give Sinisalo player of the season. Oh, that would be a right slap in the coupon to the other goalkeeper. If Ralston's playing the rest of the season, then forget it. Martin O'Neill needs to do something. This system and squad isn't winning anything. Magnus is still stuck in hospital. Well, hope you get better soon, mate. Wake up. It's Negrin all day long. Without his input, we wouldn't be in the top 6. Yes, this is very true. Very, very true. 15 to 20 out. Why does Celtic have Benji Negrin taking the corner kicks instead of having them in the box when we're screaming for goals? Because that's the job that he was brought in to do. When he takes the corner kicks when Arnie Ingles isn't playing. And then when none of they two are, it's you've then got Luke McCowan. We need a new front line. Surely no one expects Jota to be the same. A lot of people are negative about Jota. I don't understand why the negativity about Jota when Henrik Larsson came back and was an absolute legend at Celtic. Oh, he broke his ankle. To be fair, on Ralston, he can't do much more. Yeah. McGregor's running about trying to flag down a bus. Oh, I've got to jump through this morning. I was only coming on for half an hour and I've managed to be on for 50 minutes this morning. Araujo is a huge miss. He was quality, yes. Massive, massive miss. And Alistair Johnston needs to have a good look at himself. That decision to go over and above Martin O'Neill's wishes and go to Canada to fuck about on television, then get injured training with the national team. Martin O'Neill wanted him to stay here, recuperate in the right way, get ready. We needed him. And he went, man, my national team wants me. I'm gone. Shows that Martin O'Neill's no power. I know that national teams can demand that a player travel, but if they are not injured and not playing, surely the club then has priorities as the team that pays his wages to go, no, he's not fit. Simple. He is not fit. He's not fit to play. He's not fit to train. He's not fully recuperated, so he's not going. Who knows? It's all ifs and buts. Kentucky Derby, next gravy. That's the way the comments are going. Lewis Palmer is playing some football this season. 6 goals and 5 assists, 68 shots with 31 on target. How we need that now. If he's had 31 shots and he's only had 6 goals, that's not a great return, is it? Canada means more than Celtic for Johnston. Yep. Anyway. It's all in our hands. This week is all about looking forward to see what Willie Hawkey has to say for himself and for the Celtic Fans Alliance. Celtic Fans Alliance will be launched on the 17th this week. It's going to be an interesting week. Could this be the vehicle that puts pressure on the Celtic board? Is this the vehicle that Celtic fans will get behind in mass numbers and unify the support to put pressure on the Celtic board? It will all come out in the wash, as they say. On that note, have an absolutely fantastic day, Celtic fans, wherever you are, all around the world. Why did that dip at that time? Anyway, let's shut this fucker down.